So, hello again. This is Cheryl Wilson, abstract artist. Thank you for coming back to my channel. And as I mentioned last week, I thought I would keep exploring this concept of very loose flowers. I am a very messy abstract artist and painter. However, have not always been the easiest things for me to paint loosely. My goal is to get these flowers to the point where I can do several fuller arrangements and very neutral colors. But right now I'm working on some mainly pinks and reds because it was kind of fun for me. You would think I'd be doing pumpkins or something like that, but I just, am in the mood for some flowers. So what I'm going to be showing you in this video is some very loose buds and some of the stems I did and how I did this, the paper I used, some of the colors I used, the brushes. I got a special brush that was kind of fun. So I go over, I guess, a technique. I go over my thoughts while I'm making them. A lot of what I talk about later on in the video is the concept of painting from my soul. I don't remember my childhood. I don't know why. I talk about in the video that I was a happy child, a wonderful family, but I don't remember. We moved around a lot. We went overseas a lot. And maybe that's why. Maybe too much was going on in my life and in my head. So I feel a lot of what I paint is, since I don't use reference photos unless it's like some fresh flowers, but I rarely use those as reference. Everything comes from within my soul. And I think a lot of my memories are down deep in my soul. And I think that's what comes out. And that's a study I'm doing in a series I want to do in my actual abstracts. But I wanted to just explore this idea of the loose flowers because I'm having so much fun. Also, my dad's a little lonely lately. His mobility has kind of slowed down. A lot of you have been following me in my journey with my dad. My mom passed away about 8 years ago with Alzheimer's dementia. And my dad took really good care of her. And he is almost 97. And he watches every video. He gets on me if I don't put one out. He really looks forward to seeing me on the video because he doesn't have a lot to do right now in his life. I would love for you to say hello. I will read every comment. If you make a comment and tell him hello, his name is Don, and he's a musician. He plays the cello now. I've shared that with you before. He used to play in protocol in the military, in the Air Force, and was a conductor and played the French horn. And he still writes a lot of music. But if you would love to say hello to him, I would appreciate it. I will read every comment to him. So anyway, let's jump over because my art studio is right over here, my table, and we'll get started on the painting of the flowers. And just tell me if you can relate to trying to get loose. It's not easy. So thank you again, especially those that are part of my membership that continue to support me, and just for watching my channel. It just means a lot to me. Even those that don't subscribe, I still love having you a part of my journey with me. So let's go, and I hope you enjoy it. All right, here's what I wanted to show today. The last video where I showed, it was really the first time back in my studio. So I showed, and let me grab the painting. I showed this painting right here. It was on regular paper, like Canson, um, like a mixed media paper. And I really like it. I like the looseness of it, but it's not always consistent for me. So what I wanted to do is just keep practicing flowers and with a consistency of the looseness. And I like the round, but I also wanted to make the flowers like of different, like looking different ways. So this paper here, and I'll put the link down below, it's like a watercolor paper. It's a very unusual, either you like it or you don't. And I've had people say, I really love that paper, and you do have to kind of get used to it. I don't use it for watercolor because I use acrylic paint. So I do put watercolor on it, as one of my mixed medias, but I mainly use acrylic on it. If you do like rub on it, some of the top layer will come off, which I love. There's a consistency about this. It's very like a medium weight. It's got the deckled edges. But the point in this demo that I want to show you is the looseness of creating these flowers. And this took me a while. So I just practiced a couple different ones. And here's one looking to the left. Here's one looking to the right. And I had some fun with the different leaves, like a very, flowing, loose leaf on here. Here's one where I added some blue. Now, I do use high flow and regular golden fluid acrylic. And like here's the fluid acrylic, and then here's the high flow. The high flow has the pointed top, and I'll tell you high flow. I do use those. You could use probably just a regular tube paint. You just have to put some water with it to loosen it up so that you can get it to soak into the paper. Another thing I like about this is, say I get a puddle somewhere, I can dab like paper towel on it, and it pulls it up differently than a different type of a paper, like the mixed media. And then I can use my finger or a brush and add the color back in. Here's another one I really love. So they're very simple and yet very loose. And that's the effect. Here's one just a very loose. That's the effect that I'm trying to get with the florals that I'm doing this week. Now, in the past and on my website, I do have other florals, and there's like a slight glare here. Let me see if I can tilt it. So I do have, this is like, I think a 24 by 24. I do have some paintings out there that are florals that I like. This is one done more, I don't know, it's almost like a magnolia, but it's pink. I love that. Then my roses, now these are done on regular mixed media paper because in here is some tissue paper which I painted with acrylic inks. So these I love too. And here's another floral. So I do have some florals, and in fact, I just sold a painting off my website this last week. So the florals are popular, and I like them. I just have more of a desire of what I want my florals to look like. So that's what I'm going to do this week. I'm going to play with you on the floral design, scheme here, and let's just see where this takes us. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I have some colors out here, and I'm going to add some more, the thicker red. I'm going to add some more, and I had to pour this out. This is the magenta, and then we'll leave the greens. I'm going to start out my pointed brush. I want it to be plenty wet. I'm going to dip it. And I'm just going to keep it very loose. Dip it in some of the red. And I'm going to keep it wet. Okay. Now I'm going to add some blue at the bottom, but I want to make sure this dries. There we go. I'm going to keep that. Now I'm going to add, with my smaller brush, without touching that yet, just a stem, very loose. I'm going to bring in some of the darker green and keep it very loose. This is adding some blue. I'm going to touch that up together, but I'm going to let this dry. But the looser the better. I think I'd like to have a leaf off here to the side. So I'm going to just work on that a little bit. The looser, keep my brush on the tip. Bring in some more green. I'm going to bring this down very loose. Okay, I'm going to let this one dry. I'm going to do another one, a single flower. Kind of like a rose. Very loose. Maybe a little smaller than the bigger one. I like, there we go, very loose. Very simple. Okay. Again, I want to add my stem. And I'm going to keep it loose. I'm going to bring in a regular brush. Another thing I like to do is add the yellow into that. So the yellow and the blues together makes a really, to me, a pretty green. When you're loose like this, you gotta let it happen. So I'm going to squirt some of the titanium white out here. I'm going to go ahead and just let that do some fun things while it's drying. I'm going to let that dry too. So here's another one I did a while ago. And it's still wet, so just let these dry. Okay, so we're back, and I actually left for about an hour, and this is now dry. This one's still a little wet through here, but you can see how the paint just, to me, in my opinion, soaks down in the paintings. I just got this new brush from Amazon just now. It is a Princeton Dakota 6300, number 6. And I saw a couple artists take the brush, and let me see if I can find a piece of paper. Let's do it on here. Let's just do this. And she smooshed down into the leaf. So that's kind of an interesting, I don't think it's as, what do you call it? Trying to find my green gold. I don't think it's as spontaneous of a sometimes it's hard to talk and think. So let me drop a little bit more green gold. I'm letting the paint mix as I'm putting it in here. So I like it, but it's too structured for what I'm looking for right now. So let me continue with doing my leaves in a very loose manner. Let me add some green and then some yellow. Let me hold it at the tip. See, it's much looser, less control, which I like so much better when I don't have control. See that lack of control up here gives such a, and that right there gives such a different look than when I'm in more control. So not sure I like the stem coming down. I don't know. We'll see what we're going to do about that right there. I mean, I can kind of leave that up there. But I want to add more. And I want to make it a little bit lighter. So let's go in some pink here to our petals. Let's do some more red. I'm just trying to make different layers. Add more red. That's why a lot of times I do voiceovers, because when I'm trying to paint and talk at the same time, I just don't think I'm quite intelligent enough for the words to come out. So let's, there, I want that a lot looser. All right. There. So I'm liking that. Again, let's let that dry. Let's pull another one back down. This one, what I wanted to do was fix, let me grab another brush. This is like a angular brush. I wanted to fix this here. with a little thicker red. Then let's go ahead and finish the light pink. I don't want to take away from that beautiful light pink that I have going on there. There we go. I think what I may do is clean this up a little bit, this leaf here. I like everything that's going on here, but I'm just wanting this to be a little less of a thicker leaf here. So we can manipulate this a little bit. I can certainly play with it. So let's let that dry. I don't know how dry this is for me to see if I can fix this right here. I don't like how that came down here. So let's... But I'm liking the looseness of this one. Okay, let's let that dry. Now on this one, again, I need to bring the flower and the stem together. Just add a little texture in here. I want to stay loose. Let's do a little bit of lighter green. I'm going to jump in here and tell you that I keep doing this throughout this next part of the video. And that's when you have two areas that are still wet on this particular watercolor paper. And it's true on other paper, but especially this paper, that they bleed into each other. And I keep doing this. So you need to let one area dry before you go to another area, especially if it's the flower and the stem. So you'll see me periodically have to stop and regroup. And again, do the same thing. When the two kiss each other, they tend to want to bleed into each other, especially on this paper. I got to keep remembering how touchy it is. This is this little side leaf. I don't want to lose some of that luscious green. Get loose again. There. I think I want to bring some of the darker so I better let that dry. Let's bring this one back over. That one's got a lot of juice going on there, so I'm going to be real careful on that one. This, I need a little more kind of red down here. A little thicker. Still want to keep the looseness. Okay. I may want to get rid of... I kind of like that little mistake right there. Not this, but maybe... I'm going to be doing a series of something I've been thinking about. If you made it this far in the video, tell me your thoughts on this. But I don't have a vast memory of my childhood. I know I had a great childhood. My parents were married until my mother passed away. I was happy. We moved around an awful lot. My dad was in the military. So I know it wasn't any particular reason. It wasn't any trauma or anything. I just don't have a lot of memories of my childhood. So I was doing a lot of thinking of why I like certain things that I do and what when I have like flashbacks of things in my childhood, what is that? And like I know I love flowers, and my mother, even when she had her dementia and Alzheimer's, she would always ask me, even when she didn't know who I was, she would ask me to paint flowers, and she didn't know me as an artist. She knew me in my professional aspect of my job, but she just knew I was someone who painted, and she was an academician. She never painted herself, but I used to have her paint flowers with me. And they, it wasn't a great painting, but I wanted her to enjoy her life a little bit. So we would paint flowers together. So my point is, I really think a lot of times our what we love and what we enjoy in life is down deep in our soul. And I think a lot of times when I paint, I'm painting from like soul memories, if that makes any sense. So I was thinking about it and how my memories come out through my painting, because when I paint and I see something, it's almost like I have this thought that I remember that. So I really think that our past is a part of our soul, and our soul is a part of our past. And many times, particularly when I paint, I'm painting from a very soulful thought. And I want to do a series on that. All right, I'm going to let this dry because I'm letting these two are starting to kiss each other again. And I want to let this dry. All right, so let's see. What do we have here? We have this one we've been working on. I like that, especially when I blotted out the extra stem I put in. Does it look like it's kind of hanging out there? Yeah, probably. It probably does. We've got this one. Let me fix the red on there. Let me just use my finger. See, this is where rubbing into this paper it's got a texture that is extremely unusual. It's not like I'm rubbing off a layer, but I can feel the texture when I'm rubbing on this. Now let's do a little bit of that leaf. I don't want to touch now. I like that mistake, that drip there. I like that. So let me see if I can keep that. Trying to get a dark color. This is black here with a little bit of yellow. So I want to keep that little yellow dot there, if I can. But I also want to bring in that dark green again. I didn't think I'd be able to keep that. Okay, don't bleed. I touched. They kissed again. But I am liking the leaf. I need to lighten up and add a little dimension coming down the stem. There we go. I feel like I'm spending more time on my stems than I am my flower. So let's let that dry. I think this one we need to work on a little bit, because I wanted to fix so let's work on my stem before I do anything with the flower, so I'm not doing them both at the same time. I'm getting myself in trouble when I do that. So let's add a little bit. When I like to add the black to like this little bulb area, I guess you call that. So I'm bringing in some of this very olivey green. I want to stay loose, so let me get my brush loose. And I'm just actually bringing in different greens. I'm not keeping one green on my brush. And if I bring it over here, I want to add it over here a little bit. See, I had some black there, so I think I just want to bring a tad over here. I want to make it very loose. I don't want to overdo the black, but I want to make them kind of go together. Okay, I'm liking that. Maybe bring in a little teal. Okay. You don't want to overdo. Bring a little bit of that dark back in there. There. I like that. I like the very tip to be the darkest. I don't know why, so. All right. You know what? I'm almost feeling like I need to have a little balance over there, and I'm going to keep it very loose. There. I don't want more than that, but I am going to put a tad of yellow in that. All right, let's let that dry, then we can finish that bottom off. So let's go back and wind back through. Oh, this one I got to finish the red. And okay, I'm going to use my finger. Let me go back with the same little brush. I want to keep it loose. I like to do the... Oh, why do I do that? You know, it's like you got to remember, when the two were together, I did the same thing. Okay, well, let's let that dry. Let's look at this. Let's work on the red. We're going to put it to the side because we're not going to do the stem at the same time. Let that dry. Let's bring this one back down. I think this one's near done. And imperfections, for me, are all a part of it. Put a little bit of texture over here. So the fact that this has some muddiness here, I'm okay with that. I'm going to go in with a nice clean brush because I had dirt. I had paint on my finger. So, the imperfections don't bother me, but I'm adding a little texture here. So I like this one. I think this one's done. And let's see, this one, I gotta let dry. I'm gonna let dry and work on that. This, I'm still gonna let dry and work on a little bit of that. So let's let these dry a little bit. Did this one dry enough to work on it? I really like the flower, the leaf on this one. All I really want to do here is just touch up. And I like that one. I like that one. I like that one. I'm just letting this one dry. And these two I want to just touch up a little bit in here. Let's see. There we go. So here we go. And let me move some of my paint out of the way. Let you see them. Here's my palette. Let me move it over here. These are the 4 that we worked on. Can you still see that? So I hope you like that. I hope you enjoyed my loose flowers. I hope you learned something more than anything. So let me know you were here. And if you made it to the very end, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. So don't know what I'm going to do next week, but I'm going to keep trying to put out a video. I do travel soon for a couple weeks, but thank you. And I appreciate all of you very much from my heart.